And the target for this trade, at the very minimum, is going to be this 1-day 0.5 FVG Buzz Golden Pocket, especially because Eagle looks way stronger than VeChain. Let me explain. That just so happens to be relatively equal highs and relatively equal lows on, well, both of these levels. With so many coins out there, it can be hard to determine which coins to focus on in order to get the highest possible return. But fear not, in this video, I've already done the hard work for you and filtered out a list of the top 3 best coins for the month of October heading into November 2022. To top it off, I'm even going to give you the exact trade setup and ideas that you should take in order to make some really juicy gains. So let's get into it. Now, before I do, the first 2 coins are going to have some sort of news event tied to them. But here's the catch. I don't use news events like 99% of other people use news events. So most of the time when you think about news events, you just like, if this news is going to happen, then it must pump. Or if this news is going to happen, then it must dump. That's not the way you should think about it. The thing about the markets is that the price of the asset is always priced in, regardless of there is a news event or not, which means that you really shouldn't be paying attention to news events per se, but to what happens on the chart. Because the market makers that are moving the market cannot hide what they are trying to do and their footprints on the chart if they so decide to do so. So news events should basically just be used to determine which coins to focus on and which coins are going to have more attention rather than trying to speculate if, it's going to go up or it's going to go down. And if that sounds a little bit confusing, don't worry, I will give you exactly what to look for in this video. So the first coin we're going to talk about is VeChain. And a news event related to this is going to be the implementation of VIP220, which has been set for 2 weeks later on October the 20th. Now, even though I talk about not speculating on whether or not the price is going to go up or down during a news event, I have a very good reason for talking about, speculating. And the reason for that is because I am looking at the news event in context to what is happening on the price action. And if you just take a look at the 1-day chart here, you can see that this previous low has been taken out. Now, these relatively equal lows has been taken out, which also means that there is no longer much liquidity below for the market makers to want to target. Now, it's important for me to also clarify what is this concept of liquidity. Basically, think of the markets as a car or a Ferrari. In order for the Ferrari to go anywhere, up or down, you need fuel. And liquidity is like that fuel to move the markets, which also means that wherever there is liquidity, the market makers are going to reprice the asset towards the liquidity. So the market basically just moves on liquidity. So in this case, the liquidity has been taken already, which means the next point of liquidity is all the way down here at around 0.02. Because if you just look back at this blue line right here, that is a previous swing low, which is a point of liquidity. And it just so happens that the swing low over here and that swing low over there are relatively equal. So you can consider this as relatively equal lows. Now, this will only be the case if the market was showing bearish market structure and heading downwards. Then I would have reason to believe that it's going to target these 2 levels. But the thing about the situation at the moment is that on the 1-day chart, we have already got a confirmed break of structure, which I basically define as the confirmed candle body close above a previous swing high. In this case, you did have the confirmed candle body close on the daily chart, which is significant. So I hope that clarifies things. And because of this, I am currently now looking for a retrace back into an area of value in order to take a trade so that I can take advantage of this news event, especially because this has not started pumping yet, but it will. So pay attention to this one. Now, the reason why I am not going long immediately on this trade is because I am a big proponent of always waiting for the trade to come to you. A lot of you probably get wrecked because, you simply don't wait. You look at a chart and you immediately get really excited. Oh my God, I'm going to miss this chart. Oh my God, this chart is going to go to the moon or it's going to start going down. And so I will decide to FOMO. I will get in right now. Well, we all know how that ends. So if there's one thing you take away from this video, always wait for the setup to come to you. Always wait for the setup to come into your area value before you decide to take a trade. And in this case, the area value that I'm going to be talking about is from this swing low, this recent move swing low to this recent move swing high. I'm going to draw a fib and I'm going to determine the golden pocket. In this case, that is going to be at the 0.618 and the 0.705, which is at about 0.02307 and 0.02290. So within that range, I'm going to look for a long on to VeChain, and this is supported by the fact that on the 4-hourly chart, you can see that we have a demand zone with this block right here, and we also have a order block. Well, this is not the most pretty order block, but it is still an order block nonetheless. So within this range, or within just the range of this order block, which is, well, pretty wide, you're going to want to look for a long, and the target for this trade, at the very minimum, is going to be this 1-day 0.5 FVG Buzz Cloden pocket. Now, that is quite the mouthful of words, so let me explain what that is. A fair value gap is basically when the price does such an explosive move downwards that there is basically zero price action. Like, that's just a gap, basically. If you're looking at a CME futures gap, this would be how it would look like. Basically, check this out, right? In this entire gap here, there is zero price action, which means that there is a gap of liquidity. And if you remember what I said earlier about the markets moving in terms of liquidity, then you know exactly what I mean when I say that the markets are going to be attracted to this level. Now, in order to refine this even more, we're going to use the 0.5 of this FVG, because if you see here, the FVG was already mitigated once, which means, yes, you can use FVGs as an area value in order to take trades from. And on that note, you can take very high probability trades using fair value gaps. And in this case, you have already been rejected once, and you've already been rejected twice at the 0, which means now the 0.5 will make much more sense, and it will be much more of a higher probability target in order for us to treat this as our number one target. So target 1 is going to be right here at 0.02475. Feel free to mark this down on your own chart. And honestly, I highly recommend you do that so that you can understand my thought process. In this video, what I'm giving you right now is like years and years of trading experience and just knowledge. And if you try to replicate this or just try to copy this, you'll find that you will learn so much more about the craft of trading and how to actually make money trading. So I highly recommend all of you just replicate this on your own chart. Now, that is going to be target number 1. Target number 2 is going to be this 1-day swing high over here. Now, I don't want to promise too much on this trade because, well, truth be told, we only have 2 weeks for all of this to happen. But I do believe that if you hit this target here, it's actually a pretty good target already. Depending on how much is your stop loss, that is easily like 8 to 10%. And remember, it is never about the percentage gains. For example, if I go into a trade there, let's say I set my stop loss there, and my target is at here, you would have made 10% on your account, right? 10R. If you were risking 2% of your account, that would be 20% gains right off the bat. So it all depends on how tight is your stop loss and how much you're risking. So this would be a good first target. But if you think that the momentum is continuing and market structure on the 4-hourly, specifically on the 4-hourly, is not showing any signs of breaking down and the momentum is continuing, or maybe even on the 1-hourly, that works as well, then what you want to do is you want to continue holding on to that trade or look for an alternative entry, right? When the price hits here, you want to look for a pullback, and then you want to target the 1-day swing high. So earlier, that was about, 8%. That was about an 8% move. Over here, you're going to get, well, let's assume that you just get in somewhere random, because I don't have the ability to predict the future. I can give you a very high probability account on what's going to happen in the future. If I did, I'd be the richest person in the world, period. Anyways, that's about a 13% move in addition to that 8% move right there. And if you wanted to, you could even short that for like a 5% move. You get the power of doing an analysis in my style, where I prepare you for every single scenario that is going to happen. Now, I am not optimistic that the price is going to hit all the way to this daily range here. But just to explain what that is, if you draw a fib from this swing high over here, which is the major swing high, to that swing low over there, you can see that this falls right under the 0.618. I'm not optimistic, but you can treat this as target number 3, which would be a trade of about 27%. So just keep that in mind. That is the analysis for VeChain. Now, if you like this style of analysis, you're going to love the second one, which is going to be Eagle, because this is an even better setup compared to VeChain. Now, the news event of this coin is even bigger because It is X-Day for the Elrond network. Now, if you go onto the website for X-Day, you can see that this is a pretty big event in the roadmap of eGold, and there's 30 days left for this to happen. And so we have plenty of time for eGold to do its thing. And that's why I am much more optimistic about eGold in terms of a larger target. So let's discuss this. So I am much more optimistic about eGold hitting a higher target compared to VeChain, especially because eGold looks way stronger than VeChain. Let me explain. eGold has already pumped prior to this news event, and you might think, oh, maybe I might be too late. But you are never ever too late. Because the thing about the markets is that they never move straight up or straight down. If you have ever been caught FOMOing at the top here, well, hopefully you've learned your lesson. With every up move, there is always going to be a retrace. Why is that? If the market makers do not reverse the market and make the movement seem very erratic, that means that anyone who went long at any of these points, right, any of these points, will get a free ride up to, well, basically a ton of gains. And that is not good for the market makers because their sole interest is to make money. And whenever you win a trade, they are paying you out of their own pocket, which means they're losing money, which is not in their best interest. So in order to make money, they need to take your money away from you. And they do that by making the market reverse because they need to mitigate all of these longs who got greedy and held on for too long. Well, they're going to take everybody out. Hopefully that makes sense. So the first things first, you are never too late. So where do we look for a retrace? Basically, you just want to draw a fib from that swing low, from where the move began to the swing high, where the move is confirmed, assuming that this is going to be the swing high that we're going to be using. Then you're going to look for the 0.618 and the 0.705. In this case, I do think that there is a very good area of value over here, right at the 0.705. So if the price retraces all the way back here, then that is going to be my area of entry. So make sure you set an alert at the price point of $50 and $48.6. Now, when the price hits here, I'm going to be looking for an entry. I do not mean I'm just going to set a limit here and forget about it. You can do that, but your risk to reward ratio is going to suffer. And again, same thing with VeChain. The reason why I'm talking about, like why I'm speculating that the news event is going up is because the fact that the liquidity has already been taken. And the reason why I like eGold more than VeChain is because the next available area of liquidity is all the way down here, and the next one is down here, which I really don't think eGold is going to go, target unless market structure was really bad. But in this case, market structure is even better than VeChain, because if you take a look at the daily chart, well, that is a very confirmed break of structure towards the upside. So currently, market structure has already shifted to the upside, so we should look for a retrace to get in on longs because that is what the market makers are telling us. It is very hard to hide things in terms of a market structure perspective. You should never get confused about anything else. I have a saying that as long as you master market structure and you know how to read market structure, you are 80% of the way there in order to make really solid money trading. And since this is what market structure is telling us, I have no reason to doubt it. And the second thing that you must get through your head is that in trading, the only certainty is that there are no certainties. You should always think in terms of probabilities. In this case, the probability of this going higher, based on all the signs that I discussed, is, well, higher probability than it going lower. Hence, I am making this analysis, and that should be the way that you should think about the market as well. Now that you understand the probabilistic thinking thing, let's get into the targets. The first target is going to be right here at 62.36. Now, how did I come up with that number? If you draw a fib from that swing high to that swing low, you can see that this level falls right on the 0.705, and it just so happens to be a daily swing high, which means that there is liquidity right above this level, which means that the market makers are going to be very attracted to this level to bring the price to, basically. So once you get the retrace, once you get the long, you want to target over there. And assuming price really follows our plan and comes all the way back here, that's going to be a 30% pump just at the first target. And I'm not even talking about the second target yet. Now, this is only assuming that the price does come back and follows the plan, which, if you know anything about the markets, it rarely happens. But let's assume that you get in, just somewhere random, right? That's still 24% and 45%. Hence, I like this a lot more than VeChain. Now, let's talk about the second target, which this one I am pretty certain about. If this news event continues on for the rest of October, then the one-day FVG, the top of the one-day FVG is going to be the ultimate target. Why is that? Well, firstly, remember what I talked about previously about the FVG, how the beginning of the FVG was already mitigated. Now, what remains is the top of the FVG that remains unmitigated. So this is going to be the ultimate target. And that is going to be right here at $72.5. Now, given that this video is already almost 20 minutes long, I didn't want to talk about Solana as well, but since I've already plotted everything out, I will always try to give you guys the most value that I can in every single video. And that's why I dive so much into the educational aspect of it and talk about why things happen and why I come up with those theories. But for Solana, well, since you guys already mostly know these theories, I'm just going to run through Solana really quickly because I don't want this video to drag on too long. So currently, if you take a look at Solana, the thing that sets Solana apart is that there is no news event for Solana. The only reason I'm including this in this list is because, well, the chart just looks really good and really, really clean. Let me explain. Currently, Solana is trading within these two ranges right here, the range high and the range low. That just so happens to be relatively equal highs and relatively equal lows on both of these levels, which is very, very important because every time you see relatively equal highs or lows, always assume that there is a ton of liquidity above or below those levels. In this case, price is currently breaking market structure to the upside, which means that it's targeting this level right here. So in order to find an area where we can get into, you want to just take a look at this fair value gap here. Right? Notice how that within this range here, within this gap, there is no price action, right? There's no price action. So when price retraces back into this level, well, that's where we're going to go long at. And if I just illustrate this to you, this is a 4-hourly order block. So that's primarily going to be the level where I'm going to be looking for a retrace in order to target the range high. But it could also just go straight up to the range high, which in that case, then a second opportunity is going to present itself to you in the sense that once the high has been taken, liquidity has been taken. So it's either that markets are going to go straight up, which it won't, or it's going to reverse. And why will it reverse? Because a lot of people are going to be thinking, oh, resistance has been broken, I should go long here. Well, that's where they're going to trap you, right? They immediately reverse the price and all of these traders are going to get liquidated because they went long here. They FOMO'd. If that's you, don't worry. Everyone's been through it, including myself. Hopefully after watching this video, you will never go through this again. So this presents a second opportunity where you can short this into this level right here, which is about $33.2. Now, the range high over here is $35.4. So just keep this level in mind. And ultimately, it might even come and target the short-term trading low because considering that there is a lot of liquidity here, right? And the markets move based on liquidity. After you take the liquidity here, you're just going to oscillate to the next point of liquidity. And the thing that determines whether or not price is just going to find support here, or if it's going to go all the way down here, is going to be Bitcoin. If Bitcoin is breaking market structure on the 4-hourly and it's heading lower, which I don't think so, considering the fact that I have been talking about the other two coins in a bullish perspective, then I don't think it's going to target here, but just watch out for Bitcoin. If Bitcoin looks like it's reversing, that it's going to target here and much lower. And the range low in this case is going to be at 31.65. Now let's talk about a couple of higher targets, and that's going to be right here at the 0.5 FVG of the 4-hourly and the golden pocket. Again, just draw a fib from that swing high to that swing low, and you can see that this is right above the golden pocket. And besides that, you also have a fair value gap from here to there. And if you draw a fib from the top of the fair value gap to the bottom of the fair value gap, this is the 0.5 of the FVG, which is going to be a really strong level of resistance. So when price gets to that level, make sure you take your profit. And honestly, if price just keeps going up and up and up, I think the ultimate target is going to be this 1-day fair value gap. Now, let me go onto the 1 day to show you this. The reason why I bring this target up and why I'm so confident about this is that people don't generally know about fair value gaps. Most of you probably have not even heard of a fair value gap until this video. So this is not a target that people are looking at, and it just so happens that there is a previous swing high right close to the fair value gap, which means that this will trick traders to think that this is the actual point of resistance, but in fact, it's going to be this point of resistance. Now, if price continues to go higher, then that's going to be the 1-day relatively equal highs over there. But I don't actually think it's going to hit that. So focus on these lower targets. Now, listen, if you think this video was valuable, people who work with me one-on-one get 10 times the results in 1/10 of the time. The truth is, you can watch as many of these videos as you want, but having someone to push you and guide you in the right direction will make things much easier. And honestly, when you pay for something, you pay attention. So if you want to work with me, I'm about to take on 20 students into a 90-day mentorship program where we will work together really closely, and you will very likely get your ROI back within 90 days or less. If you want to apply, you should have at least $10,000 in your trading account if you want to get your ROI back really, really quickly, but 5K is a minimum. So drop me a message on Twitter at _theartofcrypto if you are interested in changing your life in the next 90 days. Cheers.